is good news, but it didn't happen by itself. The previous administration increased the deficit every year it was in office, in part because of its reckless $2 trillion tax cut. I know you're tired of hearing me saying but a $2 trillion tax cut that was not paid for, And a tax cut that largely benefited the biggest corporations, 55 of which earned $40 billion in profits and paid not a single penny in income tax in 2020, and wealthiest Americans, like the billionaires, who on average pay just 8% in federal taxes. The previous administration not only ballooned the deficit, it undermined the watchdogs, the inspector generals, whose job it was to keep the pandemic relief funds from being wasted. Remember, at the time, I kept saying they're going to fire the inspector generals. Well, they fired the inspector general. And in my administration, those watchdogs are back. The Justice Department has a chief prosecutor for pandemic fraud who's going to go after the criminals who stole billions in relief money meant for small businesses and American families, but never got to them, got in the pockets of criminals. When I came to office, we took a different approach across the board. With the American Rescue Plan and other actions, we started to grow the economy from the bottom up and the middle out. Rescue checks and tax cuts for working families that gave them just a little bit of breathing room and put food on the table and a roof over their heads. Remember the first year, all those long lines of automobiles lined up and going through a parking lot just to get a box of food in their trunk? We got vaccination shots in arms that helped us go from 2 million Americans who'd been vaccinated to more than 220 million Americans fully vaccinated. And we made it easy for millions of Americans to sign up for coverage under the Affordable Care Act, saving them an average of $2,400 a year. As a result of these and other economic recovery plans, we recovered faster than projected. A record 6.7 million jobs created last year, the most in the first year of any president in American history, and the fastest economic growth in any year in nearly 4 decades. And looking ahead, I have a plan to reduce the deficit even more, which will help reduce inflationary pressures and lower everyone's costs for families. Look, it's a plan that lets Medicare negotiate price of prescription drugs, as they do with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We can cap the price of insulin at $35 instead of the hundreds of dollars, even $1,000 a month for some families. And my plan provides tax credits to utility companies to generate clean energy. And those companies are required to pass those savings on to families. I met with about a dozen of those utility CEOs here in the White House, and they confirmed this plan will lower energy bills for families immediately. My plan includes tax credits for consumers to purchase electric or fuel cell vehicles, new or used, which will save the typical driver about $80 a month not having to pay for gas at the pump. Tax credits for folks to buy solar panels and heat pumps and more efficient windows and doors for their homes. Estimated savings $500 per year on average. And we can do these things by making sure that no one earning less than $400,000 a year will pay a single penny more in federal taxes. All we're asking is that the wealthiest Americans and the largest corporations begin to pay their fair share, at least part of their fair share. You've heard me say it before. I'm a capitalist. I believe you should be able to make as much money as you legally can, but just pay your fair share. There's no reason why a billionaire should be paying a lower tax rate than a teacher or a firefighter. That's in sharp contrast to what today's Republican Party is offering. And if they hadn't put this in print, you'd think I was making it up. Senator Rick Scott of Florida, United States Senator, who's leading the Republican National Senatorial Campaign Committee, released what he calls the Ultra MAGA Agenda. It's a MAGA agenda, all right. Let me tell you about this Ultra MAGA agenda. It's extreme, as most MAGA things are. It will actually raise taxes on 75 million American families, over 95% of whom make less than $100,000 a year. Among the hardest hit, working families, kids with folks. Imagine you're a family of 4 and you don't make enough money to have federal taxes. Because you don't make enough money to pay them. You pay all your taxes, but you just don't make enough. And under this new plan, this tax plan, the Ultra MAGA agenda, while big corporations and billionaires are going to pay nothing more, the working class folks are going to pay a hell of a lot more. And it goes further than that. This extreme Republican agenda calls for Congress. Now, I'm not making this up either. You ought to really think about this. It requires a vote, if it were to pass, every 5 years, the Congress would have to vote to reinstate or eliminate Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Social Security is something seniors have paid in for their whole life. And it has to be reauthorized. Has to be reauthorized every 5 years. Look, again, it's hard to make this up. But then again, it's a mega agenda. You know, meanwhile, millionaires and billionaires and corporations skate by. Imagine that. Just imagine that. I think it is truly outrageous. I've offered a different plan, a plan rooted in American values of fairness and decency. Wealthy folks and corporations will pay a little more. Billionaires will have to pay a minimum tax. And again, most importantly, no one making less than $400,000 will pay a penny more in federal taxes. We're going to protect and strengthen Social Security and Medicare, not put it on the block every 5 years. Let me remind you again, I reduced the federal deficit. All the talk about the deficit from my Republican friends, I love it. I've reduced it $350 billion in my first year in office. And we're on track to reduce it by the end of September by another $1.5 trillion, the largest drop ever. I don't want to hear Republicans talk about deficits and their ultra-MAGA agenda. I want to hear about fairness. I want to hear about decency. I want to hear about helping ordinary people. The bottom line is that for decades, the trickle-down economics has failed as income inequity grew to historic levels under the Republicans, the mega Republicans, the MAGA Republicans. I don't want to mispronounce it, the MAGA Republicans. This is time to grow the economy, but from the bottom up and the middle out. Because here's the deal. When the poor have a ladder up and the middle class grows, the wealthy always do very well. They do very well. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. Everybody doing better. And so I want you to understand, again, first year, $350 billion reduction in deficit. This year, $1.5 trillion. It's going to bring some relief. Thank you. I take a few questions quickly.
Mr. President, may I ask you a question about sanctions? The EU, about sanctions against, or about further sanctions in Europe. The European Union today announced new sanctions against oil, against Russia. What's the next round for the U.S.? And also on a separate issue, what's the next step on abortion once this case gets settled?
I want to ask about deficits, huh? I want to make sure this doesn't get covered. Okay, here we go. I'm going to answer those two questions and then go out to talk to the Olympians. With regard to the additional sanctions, we're always open to additional sanctions, and I've been in consultation. I'll be speaking with the members of the G7 this week about what we're going to do or not do, number one. Number two, what was the second one? Look.
The second one was on abortion.
As I said when when this hit, as I was getting on the plane to go down to Alabama, this is about a lot more than abortion. I hadn't read the whole opinion at that time. But this reminds me of the debate with Robert Bork. Bork believed the only reason you had any inherent rights was because the government gave them to you. If you go back and look at the opening comments with Bork-Biden when I was questioning him as chairman, I said, I believe I have the rights that I have, not because the government gave them to me, which you believe, but because I'm just a child of God. I exist. I delegated by joining this union here to delegate some obligation, some rights I have to the governments for social good. So the idea that somehow there is an inherent right, that there is no right of privacy, that there is no right. And remember the debate we had, you don't remember, but we had a debate about Griswold versus Connecticut. There had been a law saying a married couple could not purchase birth control in the privacy of their own bedroom and use it. Well, that got struck down. Griswold was thought to be a bad decision by Bork, and my guess is the guy's on the Supreme Court now. What happens if you have a state changes the law saying that children who are LGBTQ can't be in classrooms with other children? Is that legit under the way the decision is written? What are the next things that are going to be attacked? Because this MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history, in recent American history.
Will you make a speech on abortion like you did on voting rights, Mr. President?
Mr. President, how can you combat it?
All right, for more on this, that was President Biden again talking about some initiatives to try to help the economy. Big announcement is that the Treasury Department will be paying down the national debt for the first time since 2016. So for more on this, let's bring in Kenneth Moton in Washington, D.C., and ABC News financial contributor Alexis Christoforous here in the studio with me in New York. Alexis, I want to start with you. Paying down the national debt, first time since 2016. What will that do for the economy right now?
Well, look, Joe Biden is looking to highlight economic successes anywhere he can get them. And the fact that they're able to pay down the national debt for the first time in 6 years is a definite positive. It's a net win for the economy. What it is not is a quick fix that I think President Biden and the Democratic Party may be looking for with the critical midterms right around the corner. It sort of reminds me of the Jerry Maguire movie, Show Me the Money. I think Americans are saying, show me the savings. And bringing down the deficit, while good for the overall economy, is not going to immediately put money back into the pockets of Americans. And remember, Joe Biden's still looking for $2 trillion in spending for social programs, for climate change, something a lot of the Democrats, we know Senator Joe Manchin has shot down. So good on the surface, but it goes a lot deeper than that.
And can we unpack that a little bit more? How does this work, right? Because there are a lot of Americans right now with gas prices sky high, inflation on the rise, thinking, I'm having a lot of trouble paying the bills, and here's the president saying we're going to pay off our debt.
Right.
That may not sound like it matches up. So can you explain the mechanics here and why do this now?
You know, paying down the debt is happening right now because a lot of the pandemic spending that we saw, all those stimulus checks that so many people got, has stopped. So the emergency spending has stopped. The economy is recovering. The fact that we can pay off our bills as a country is only a positive thing. It gives businesses, companies more leeway to perhaps pay people more money and to hire more people in the long run. But again, it doesn't help us at the gas station, at the supermarket, at least not yet. And, you know, things are about to get more expensive in terms of borrowing because later today the Fed's expected to raise interest rates again.
And I want to pick your brain on that, too, but I want to go to Kenneth first on the politics here because, Kenneth, it's hard to ignore the timing. Primaries just kicked off in the midterm elections. Well, all political leaders are now looking toward November and what's going to happen there. So what's the political strategy here?
Our recent poll shows that President Biden is vulnerable when it comes to the economy. So you will see him in front of the cameras talking about what he's doing to bring down the national debt. But you and Alexis just alluded to it there. You can talk about the national debt and the things your administration is doing, but how are Americans feeling? Are they seeing more money in their pockets? Are they seeing more money if they fill up their car with gas, if they can even afford to fill it up all the way? What are they seeing when they go to the grocery store, and how much money are they leaving with when they leave after buying groceries? That is what this White House is dealing with right now. We know our recent poll also shows that more Americans trust the Republicans to tackle the big issues of the economy and inflation. And Joe Biden has gotten bad marks on the economy and inflation. So you're going to see him in front of the cameras there touting his successes. This president is also known for saying that you've got to talk about what you're doing for the American people and talk about the successes and let them know what you're doing for them. And so we expect to see the president talking about prescription drugs, health care, utility bills, and what he's doing to help the American people.
And Alexis, the other timing note is something that you mentioned. The Fed is expected to announce a raising rates today. Right. So the timing here, again, can't be ignored with that. How is this announcement about paying down the national debt supposed to work with the raising of rates by the Fed?
Well, I think overall, it's about getting this economy back on its feet and getting inflation down. And the Fed is expected to give its biggest punch yet in its fight against inflation around 2 o'clock Eastern today. It's expected to aggressively raise interest rates by 0.5%. We haven't seen that happen since the year 2000. And the goal there is to sort of lessen demand, to raise the amount it's going to cost to borrow money. You're going to slow demand and hopefully slow the economy just a little bit. Of course, the issue, though, Diane, is are they going to slow the economy so much that we fall into a recession. And if you look at history, the last few times the Fed aggressively raised interest rates in this way, we did fall into a recession, albeit a mild one. So it's really the lesser of two evils for the Fed. Do we continue to let inflation run hot, or do we risk a mild recession?
Oof. This is some
choice.
Heavy stuff for 11 a.m. Alexis, thank you so much for breaking it down for us as always. Kenneth, thank you as well, friend.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. We'll be right back. Stick around.